Tonight, Chief Executive of the National Health Insurance Authority, Dr. Lydia Janiselbi, has urged more Ghanaians to enroll onto the National Health Insurance Scheme. She says for now, 40% of the population is currently registered, but says there is more room for improvement.
More than 800 million people, or 12% of the world's population, spend more than 10% of their income on health expenses. To help minimize the health bill of the public, the National Health Insurance Scheme (NHIS) was introduced in 2003. In an interview with Joy Business, Chief Executive of the NHIA, Dr. Lydia Janiselbi, explained that although there has been a boost in the number of policyholders under the National Health Insurance Scheme to 42%, there is still the need for many more to enroll under the scheme.
You know, you can't replace a car, you can't replace your body. And I really find it interesting that people don't care about having health insurance. It is really important, but more importantly, having a national health insurance means we can do better around prevention and promotion. We have to stop thinking about curing sickness. It's about staying healthy and well. And we need to change our mindset in that regard. The doctor or the hospital is not your port of call for when you are sick and on your last legs. They should be your port of call to stay healthy. And to do that, health insurance is the important way to do it. So really, that is why the law made it mandatory to have some form of health insurance.
Dr. Selby also debunked assertions that the services rendered and drugs covered by the scheme are substandard.
We have a very comprehensive benefit package. The drugs, we don't buy the drugs. We have, FDA has licensed the drugs on our medicines list. We have all agreed the prices with the manufacturers and distributors. We've put a 35% markup so that the retailers make a profit. I'm not sure what else we can do. If people are giving substandard drugs, then it is criminal.
As of 2019, the total number of Ghanaians registered onto the scheme were about 12 million. For Joy Business, Karen Dodu.
Now, Ghana has signed on to the Africa Trade Insurance Agency to safeguard investors and international businesses against shocks within the country's investment climate. This follows concerns about guarantees government had to prepare for foreign investors, many of whom end up in liabilities and huge losses to government. Acting Director of the Financial Sector Division of the Ministry of Finance, Samson Akligo, tells Joy Business this new move will go a long way to increase foreign direct investments.
To what we call the Africa Trade Insurance Agency. This is also very important for the country and maybe a little bit of education again on insurance. So a lot of the people who come into Ghana to invest, especially to set up like big companies, most often than not, when they come to Ghana, they come to the government through the Ministry of Finance to come and get all form of comfort letters and guarantees. And over the past, the experiences for us have not been very pleasant. And it also gives us a lot of contingent liability. So one of the good things about insurance also is that instead of the central government through Ministry of Finance writing these letters, we have become members of the Africa Trade Insurance so that anybody, including Ghanaians, who want to do business and need an insurance cover, especially if you want to raise money, will just go to the ATI, they will do their private sector assessment and support you. So it's a very important milestone for the country, and we hope that it will attract foreign direct investment further. I think that I will end by saying that, especially for the young people, I mean, I just speak from my good friend, the MD of SIC. I think that, honestly speaking, we have a very beautiful country. I mean, he just reminded me this morning, when you go across Africa and you come to Ghana, we have a very beautiful country. And sincerely speaking, we are also very beautiful people.
President Akufo-Addo has expressed confidence that the operation of the Continental Free Trade Area Agreement this year will boost intra-regional trade among 50 countries working for a common purpose and their interests. He was speaking at the ongoing UK-Africa Summit, Investment Summit hosted by the UK government to support job creation on the continent and help build a stronger partnership between the UK and Africa post-Brexit.
The theme chosen for this event is relevant and sums up the current aspirations of Ghana and Africa. Accessing the African common market through Ghana, technology, digitization, and industrialization. Ladies and gentlemen, when I accepted the responsibility on behalf of the government and people of Ghana to host in Accra the Secretariat of the African Continental Free Trade Area, AFCFTA, it signaled the completion of the processes to create the world's largest free trade area since the formation of the World Trade Organization. We expect the Secretariat to be up and running by March 2020 for trading to begin in the free trade area by July this year. It also reiterated the desire of the 54 African member states of the African Union that had signed the agreement for the coming into effect of the AFCFTA to work with a common voice and a common purpose to exploit the abundant wealth and resources of our great continent for the benefit of the African peoples. We know that the success of the AFCFTA would mean that the era of low volumes of intra-regional trade that have defined the activities of African economies will come to an end. Up till now, trade between African nations has remained low compared to other parts of the world.
Well, the president further added that the government is breaking its back to ensure the economic environment is favorable for doing business and touted some achievements over the past 3 years.
For the private sector to thrive and create jobs, government has a very important and positive role to play in spurring industrialization and economic transformation, ensuring that businesses are up and running, promoting access to the capital that will keep the wheels of business moving, maintaining macroeconomic stability, making available public goods such as an efficient bureaucracy, a strong adherence to the rule of law, and a fair and equitable social system in health and education delivery are some of the major responsibilities of government. The government of Ghana is addressing each one of them to ensure that as hosts of the Secretariat of the AFCFTA, we're properly positioned to be the hub of trade in Africa. Firstly, in order to garner the fruits of the AFCFTA and to realize the vision of a Ghana beyond aid, our first order of business has been to continue to ensure the maintenance of macroeconomic stability to facilitate the growth of Ghana's economy. Over the last 3 years, key economic indicators, which were in disarray prior to my assumption of office, have all been pointing in the right direction. We have ensured an average GDP growth rate of 7% over the last 3 years, compared to the 3.6% we inherited in December 2016. Reduced inflation from 15.4% in December 2016 to the single-digit figure of 7.9% in December 2019. Restored fiscal discipline by bringing the fiscal deficit down from 9.3% in December 2016 to 4.5% today.
Well, earlier, the UK Minister of Investment, Graham Stewart, said that the UK and Ghana will work hand in hand to ensure sustained economic development. He said the London Stock Exchange will enter into a partnership with the Ghana Stock Exchange to build a strong relationship between the two countries.
Between the UK and Ghana, a British firm, Contractor UK, is helping to turn this plan into reality with financial backing from the UK government. And it reflects the optimism, ambition, and entrepreneurial zeal of the Ghanaian people. Through our award-winning export credit agency, UK export finance, Britain is providing £40 million worth of financial support for Contractor to help build the project. Another £110 million of UKEF support is going towards the construction of a state-of-the-art 750-bed maternity unit at Kumasi's teaching hospital. And this shows our determination to pull out the stops and support British firms to carry out key infrastructure schemes such as these in Ghana and throughout Africa. An ambition underlined yesterday by Prime Minister Boris Johnson when he announced £620 million worth of funding to support British exports to nations across the African continent. And that brings UKEF's total financial commitment in just the last 2 years to £2 billion. Britain is one of the biggest investors in Africa, and UK firms are right at the forefront of developing new business ventures across the African economy. But we are determined, and yesterday's summit and our support, sir, for today's excellent event is a sign that we want to go further and are ambitious to do more.
Well, that was at the Ghana Investments and Opportunities Summit, where the Finance Minister is also attending. He said that he has reassured the government will be prudent with this expenditure in this election year. He gave the assurance when he engaged some investors on the sidelines of a forum in London. George Rafi was there for Joy Business, and he joins me via Skype, I believe. What else has the minister been talking about, George?
So, Darryl, you know the whole issue about fiscal discipline has come up a lot of times, but the minister's assurance is that they will not sacrifice the gains that they've made over the years by ensuring that they actually manage things that you're looking about or things that they've done over the years. The minister also spoke about the fact that what they are doing to improve the business environment so that they can attract more capital into the economy. Often people have raised issues about starting businesses, turnaround time, tax payments, and all those things. Talk about the one-stop shop as well. He believes that they are working on all these things to ensure that when these capital come in, indeed, they'll be motivated to stay because all the conditions are right for them to do business in Ghana.
Some deals that have been signed. What are we hearing? What do you know so far?
Darryl, it has been lots and lots of deals. If you let me start first with the 1D1F or the Exim Bank guarantee. They have secured a $100 million facility from the Swiss bank to help actually support industries that are going to be set up in terms of government's one district, one factory. Also, as you talked about earlier on, the London Stock Exchange has signed an agreement with the Ghana Stock Exchange to help grow the Ghana Stock Exchange in terms of building its market, its bond market, and all those things, and how they can also support other firms that would aid what we call the cross-listing as well. There have been other partnerships that have been reached, but not necessarily in terms of capital or funding or money assigned to it, more of technical cooperation. Talk about the agreement with the Ghana Exim Bank guarantee, Darryl. They are going to draw a little about $100 million from this bank to support industries that are willing to set up in this country as part of the one district, one factory. So they'll give them technical support, kind of partial funding, so they can go into certain areas. What we understand is that one of the areas that is going to benefit greatly from this is the pharmaceutical industry in terms of pharmacy, and those who even have the licenses with the WHO to actually manufacture drugs in this country. For the Ghana Stock Exchange, they believe that they will be able to aid small, medium-sized enterprises who might want to access funding from the developed economies to help support their firms and grow their firms and expand to other economies, Darryl.
All right, George, we have been live from the UK for us, covering the UK Africa Investment Summit. Thanks very much indeed. Moving on, the Bank of Ghana has filed for stay of proceedings at the High Court in the case brought against it by owners of GN Savings and Loans. This follows the last ruling, which endorsed the High Court Human Rights Division as the appropriate court to adjudicate the case challenging the license revocation of GN Savings and Loans. Ebenezer Sabote was in court and has come through with this report.
The application filed by lawyers of the Bank of Ghana for stay of proceedings will make the court hold on to all matters concerning the substantive case, which is the license revocation of GN Savings and Loans. The new application, if granted, indicates that the Bank of Ghana will be heading to the appeals court to challenge the earlier ruling by the High Court presided over by Gifty Ejay Ado. The earlier ruling stated that the Accra High Court Human Rights Division has the jurisdiction to rule on the matter brought to it by the owners and shareholders of GN Savings and Loans. Meanwhile, the receiver of GN Savings and Loans and Attorney General has not filed any application. The court has been adjourned to February 6, 2020 for hearing on the stay of proceedings. Ebenezer Sabute's report for Joy Business.
In other news tonight, Managing Director of Georg Distilleries, Maxwell Kofi-Juma, says the company is no more producing in plastics for health reasons. He says though producing with regular bottles is very expensive and fragile, it is more healthy to use. Mr. Juma says the company has come from a struggling background but has made significant strides within the last 3 years. He spoke to the media in Kumasi.
Juma commended the brains behind the establishment of Georg, adding his outfit would not let them down. 3 years into his administration, he says things have changed and production levels have shot up to about 400%. He says many more people have been engaged with improved remuneration for workers.
In spite of the very high cost of producing in glass bottles, don't forget, the glass bottles we import. Now, when they are shipping them, they break. You still are paying for it. During production, they break. When you are distributing, they break. These are all waste. And when they break, they go with your alcohol. And it's very expensive to produce in glass bottles. But yes, because we looked at the risk factor that comes with, serving alcohol in plastic. Not promotion of alcohol.
Media advertisement during the day.
Yeah, because they are afraid I will get to the kids. But they will drink alcohol during the day. Nobody can ban that. They cannot ban it. Nobody can ban it. It's just that you say, for the interest of our kids, we should not be advertising to encourage kids to be drinking alcohol. The authorities and try to fashion out a way where everybody will be okay. Because it is not only affecting us.
Mr. Juma further explained the company's staff have worked extra hard to create a reputable brand across the regions.
We started with West Africa. Of course, we needed a base. And we knew that in Liberia, Mandingo was the favorite drink. Indeed, the president of Liberia drinks Mandingo. So we went there. And then from Liberia to Nigeria. And then, of course, to Cote d'Ivoire. Now we are trying to move to Southern Africa, China, US, and definitely Holland. We've started the process, and hopefully by the middle of the year, Georg will have offices in those countries.
Mr. Juma says he has no regrets taking over the almost defunct distillery at a time relatives were not pleased about the situation.
The National Pensions Regulatory Authority says it wouldn't hesitate to expose fund managers engaged in bad investment of pension funds. This follows concerns raised over the authority's quest to channel its investments into productive sectors of the economy to complement government's efforts to move the country beyond aid. Chief Executive of the authority, Hayford Atakofi, has been speaking to Joy Business after presenting a paper at the just-ended New Year School.
The trustee licensed and you do not manage pension funds very well, there are dire legal consequences, including going to jail.
The Chief Executive of the National Pensions Regulatory Authority, Hayford Kofi, spoke at the University of Ghana's 71st Annual New Year School and Conference, which brought together experts and academia to discuss topical national issues. Speaking to Joy Business at the event, Mr. Kofi said trustees are expected to spread their risks with regards to investment of pension funds.
We have pension fund guidelines, which we are very, very strict on, because we do know that the confidence has really gone down in terms of how people's investments have gone bad. And therefore, we've decided that the investment guideline that we have put in place must be fully followed. And indeed, it is the trustee who is the primary manager of the pension funds. He's the trustee who has been licensed as the administrator of the pension funds. And therefore, if there there is any situation where funds are not properly managed, it is a trustee who has a fiduciary responsibility towards it.
The conference coincided with the NPRA's 10th anniversary celebrations. Mr. Kufi hinted of new measures his administration is putting in place, including plans to rope in the informal sector into the pension scheme.
10 years on, we're looking to expand beyond where we are with the informal sector, because there's a lot of misconception out there that pension is only for the formal sector, it's only for the salaried worker, and that misconception is what we have to work on. 10 years on, because if you have a pension system that leaves out 85% of your population in terms of the working age, then of course, something more needs to be done. And going forward in the next 10 years, we hope to be able to expand pensions into the informal sector.
The authorities section of the 3-day conference was on the topic, Effective Pension Plans Towards Ghana Beyond Aid. Bismarck Ausa, Joy Business.
And that's our program tonight. More news on our website, myjoyonline.com/business. There you go. We have the day's latest stories from over there, including what's happening at the UK Africa Investment Summit 2020. So get yourself up to date. My name is Darryl Kwao. We are back same time tomorrow.